Hey guys, Matt here with Automate. Now today we're going to be adding the Phillips Hue integration to our Home Assistant. Before we do this, you're going to need two things. You're going to need Home Assistant already running on your local network. If you don't have this yet, there's a link in the description where you can get that set up. And two, you're going to need a Phillips Hue bridge already set up and running on your local network. Now, this Phillips Hue bridge comes with all the Phillips Hue starter kits and it's extremely easy to set up. Okay, now assuming you have both of those set up, let's connect them. Go over to the Home Assistant configuration page and then the integrations. This is where it's going to detect local integrations that are available on your local network. Now here, it's going to show that I have one bridge available at this IP, so I'll go ahead and select that. And now it's asking me to go over to my bridge and click the top button. So once I do this, I'll just simply click Submit, and it's going to import all the lights I've already set up in Phillips Hue. Here you can also select the area where you want your Phillips Hue bulb to show up. This is a really cool feature inside of Home Assistant where you can do some really neat integrations. But for the purpose of this video, we're not going to go into that, but feel free to explore. Alright, so once we click Finish, the Phillips Hue card is going to populate over to the right, and we can click on the Devices link to see all the devices imported in Home Assistant. You can see both of the white and color bulbs that it's imported for me. And now if we go over to the Overview page, we can actually play with those bulbs and make sure we have control. So I have a Hue bloom here in my office. I'm going to go ahead and turn on, and I can show you the controls on it. So we'll just flip the switch and it comes on, and if we click on the bulb on the left, we get both the intensity, color, and even effect controls, just like you would have in the Hue app. Alright, now that all these bulbs are imported, let's go ahead and make our first automation. So let's start by going to the file editor. Now if you don't have the file editor or you don't know where it is, you can actually go to the supervisor page and then the add-on store, and you can find it near the top under the official add-ons. And if you've already installed it, it'll be simply in the dashboard there. So before we get started with the automation, I actually want to create a light group just to make it easier to manage all my lights under one entity. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and create a new file called lights.yaml. And in here we're going to basically create a single light for Home Assistant to see that groups up all the Hue bulbs we just imported. So to see this file in the configuration.yaml, you're going to want to do light : space bang include and then the name of our file, which is lights.yaml. So we're going to save this, make sure we have the green check mark in the top right, and then go over to our lights.yaml file. So in here, we're going to have actual multiple entities. So we're going to start with a dash space, and then the platform, which is going to be a group, the name, which we'll call lamps, and then the entities. Now the entities are the list of lights we want to be included in this group. So we're actually going to go over to the entities page in Home Assistant and find the entity IDs of the lights we want to be in this group. For example, the light.left bedroom lamp is one of the lights I want to include in this group. So make a note of all these IDs and then go back to the file editor. I've added these to my clipboard to save some time. And then make sure you have the appropriate spacing. So in this case, you're going to have two spaces to go down one segment, and then since there's multiple of these entities, you're going to have a dash space after that. So we'll click the save, make sure we get that green check mark, and then go to the configuration and then the server controls. So we want to check the configuration. You may not see this setting, and if you don't, go ahead and go over to your account name and then make sure the advanced mode is on for your Home Assistant. So if it is, you want to go back to the server controls and check configuration. So it says my configuration is valid, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and restart the server to apply these changes. Now it'll take some time to restart, but your web UI will reconnect and you'll see a message in the bottom left corner to let you know that you've reconnected. So now that our server's restarted, let's go see if those changes were applied. So if we go to the overview, back on this little light card here, we can go down and now we see the lamps entity. And when we flip that, we see all the lamps that are part of that group actually come on as well. So this is going to make it a lot easier when we create our scenes. We don't have to go through and select every single lamp and set the brightness of each one. We can just simply do it with one entity. So speaking of scenes, let's go ahead and go to configuration and then scenes. And we'll create our first scene. Now here, just simply do a scene name. We're going to start with lamps half brightness, just because I want to do a automation where my lamps will be dimmed whenever it's almost time for bed. And then also we got to select our entity, which is the lamps entity. So if we click on the little icon to the left, we get the group controls again. So we're going to make sure the brightness is at half, and then we'll save that scene. And we're going to make 2 more scenes now. For this one, we're going to call it lamps full brightness. And as the name indicates, we'll be selecting the lamps entity once again, but this time setting the brightness to 100%. We'll go ahead and save that, and then go on to create our 3rd and final scene. This one we'll call lamps off, and once again select our lamps entity, and we'll simply turn this off. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this last scene, and now we can check them all out here on the scenes page. You can actually play these and test them, see what happens. So let's try the lamps off. And our lamp does turn off, and then we'll do lamps half brightness, half bright, and then full brightness. Alright, awesome. Looks like all our scenes work, so now we're ready to automate. So let's go to the Automations tab and click the plus in the bottom right. Now, we're going to give this automation a name. We want this to dim the lights whenever it's bedtime, basically, or right before I want to go to bed. So we'll name this dim lamps at bedtime. And then the trigger is going to be time, since we want this to be at bedtime, so we'll select time. And note the time at Home Assistant is in military time, so since I want this to be at 10 p.m., we're going to do 22. Now we do need to have a condition for this automation, and that we want to check that the lamps are on when we run this scene. Now I've put this condition in place just to make sure that, let's say I go to bed early one night, I don't want my lamps coming on to half brightness if I've already turned them off. That would be really annoying. So now for actions, we're going to activate our scene, and we'll choose the lamps half brightness scene and save. So that completes our first automation. Let's go ahead and make 2 more to go inside with the other 2 scenes we made. So this one we're going to name turn off lamps at night. So this is going to happen 30 minutes after our other automation that dimmed the lamps. Now we want this to happen at 10:30, which will be 22:30. For this, I don't think we need any conditions, so we'll just go straight down to the actions, which will once again do activate scene and then lamps off. So let's save that, and I do want to create 1 more automation. Now I want to make it so I never really have to worry about controlling my lamps. So for this one, we're going to make an automation that happens in the morning that will turn my lamps back on. So for this name, let's do turn on lamps in the morning. And now for the trigger, we're going to do time once again, and we want to do 7 o'clock, and obviously military time is the same. And then for the condition in this case, I want this to only happen during the weekdays. So we're going to do edit YAML since there's not really a UI button for this. Now the condition will be time, and then we're going to do weekday. And under that, we're going to put the days of the week that we want this condition to be true for. So for this automation, I'm obviously wanting to wake up at 7 a.m. every day, but on the weekends, I may not want the lights to come on quite that early. So we're going to add the abbreviations for Monday through Friday in that case. And remember, this is YAML, so spaces do count. We'll be doing 2 spaces on each line, and then a dash and space, followed by each abbreviation. So finally, we'll do our action once again, which will be activate scene and then lamps full brightness. So let's go ahead and save. Okay, it didn't save, so there's probably something wrong with our YAML. So let me take a look. Okay, so I had the abbreviations wrong. It needs to be 3 characters for each abbreviation. And now we were able to successfully save. And that's it for automations. Each of these will be triggered at the time I'd set. And now I don't have to worry about turning on and off my lamps anymore. Plus, it'll be a good reminder of when it's time to go to bed. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was easy to follow, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. If you've got any questions or want to see more integrations, don't hesitate to comment. I'm really excited about some of the content we've got coming down the pipe as we continue to add more and more integrations to our environment. And I hope you'll consider subscribing so you don't miss anything as we build out our automation ecosystem.